your last 15 uploads, you
Okay.
subtract your highest two performing and your lowest two performing. So then you're left with
Okay.
11 videos. And then you take the average views of those 11 videos, and that's what brands are going to take as your average views across your content.
Working for an airline, you get travel benefits, which is a huge deal. That's why a lot of people, I recommend working for a hotel or for an airline, because you get those discounts.
Consistency is relative. Consistency and consistently are not the same thing. Our consistency, we decided, was once a week. We felt like that was the sweet spot for us. It pushed us, but it wasn't impossible. Audio quality is more important than video quality. So if you're a new creator, make sure your audio is good. You don't have to be shooting in 4K or 8K. If your audio is really good, people will stick around. Whereas if the reverse of that is the case, you're shooting in 4K and your audio is bad, they're going to click away within the first 10, 15 seconds.
Hello everyone, this is Shubham Tiwari and I welcome you to the Fireside Chats where we open up monetization and growth playbooks of creators. Today I have with me a power couple documenting their travel stories across the world and inspiring others to follow their dreams. They themselves are inspired by the New York Times bestseller book 1,000 Places to See Before You Die. They call themselves part-time non-remote travelers. We'll unpack that. And with the motto, it's better to see something once, even if only for a brief moment, than to hear about it 1,000 times. They are taking people along on breathtaking adventures. Let's welcome Matt and Nat of Adventures of Matt and Nat.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having us. That intro was so good.
Yeah, I'm going to have to steal that from you. That was nice. You made it sound way more professional and better than we are.
I mean, I'll come to the unpacking stuff from the introduction, but I just want your first reactions, because as travelers you go out and you see a lot of stuff for the first time. You have a lot of first reactions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your first reactions are much more, let's say, fine-tuned than ours who don't travel much. So give us your first reactions to seas.
Boat. That's what I think of.
I would say peaceful. You know, it's many times it's, I don't know, there's a lot of peaceful moments that I involve or think of when I think of the sea.
See, I think of a lot of sunset cruises. We love sunset cruises.
That we do.
And so that's why I thought of boats.
Makes sense, which is peaceful.
Yeah.
Great. Mountains.
Beautiful. Hiking,
rivers, waterfalls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we love the mountains. So yeah.
Right. And of course, when you travel, you meet a lot of people. So what do you think of people?
I think nice.
Yes. I think we always say that the more we travel, the more we realize that everyone around the globe is more alike than they like to think they are. And that's a good thing. Right. A lot of times media, without being political in any way at all, but media is great at dividing us and kind of plotting us against each other. But I feel like if you really go out and meet people, you realize just how kind and genuine and helpful people want to be around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I'll throw a curveball at you because I'll ask you, Nat, about Matt.
Oh,
probably the love of my life.
How is he like when you're traveling? Like, is there any difference in Matt when he's traveling and when he's not traveling?
No, I think it amps up his qualities. So he's a planner, very logistic, and on time. And that just is amped up during the travel process. He's like, we've got a schedule, we got to stick, and he knows a lot of facts and stuff. So it just amps it up a little bit.
There's a meme going around right now where I've seen people, post their trip plan, and it's like Google Map dots all over the city where their itineraries planned, and it's like, I really am a cool and relaxed guy, and I feel like that's me. Like there's that side of me where it's like if you saw inside my brain, it's like, this guy is OCD, but I like to think I'm a cool and relaxed guy.
I mean, we can see it already, how cool you are. What about Nat? What is she like when she's traveling?
I would say she's inspiring because she is so great at just relishing in the moment. Because it's easy as content creators, you can get caught up in what you're doing, the content you're creating, and forget that you're standing, in an incredibly beautiful spot or just experiencing this once in a lifetime kind of experience. You can get caught up in capturing the moment and remembering that moment from the lens of your camera or the viewfinder on the back of your camera. But I feel like Natalie's really good at just having fun and being in the moment when we're traveling, even when we are trying to capture the moment and tell the story. So, yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Right. And all this talk about about peace and beauty that we see outside. I remember this quote by this Australian author called Robert Desix. He said something interesting. He said that if you're not happy at home, you won't be happy traveling.
Mm,
Do you agree with that?
I agree. Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree 100% with that. Like, because yeah, exactly that. People try to fill a void with something else, and thinking, like you're saying, like travel will fill that void. And if you're not happy and just to the core happy, travel's not going to fix it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's we're really positive people. So I think when you're happy and content with where you are, even at home, you get to find adventures even if you can't travel. There are new restaurants popping up in, locations near you. There are new activities you can do. So you can definitely find adventure everywhere if
Yeah.
you're looking for it.
Yeah.
Right. That's a quote right there. It's great. So let's unpack, some parts of the introduction. You call yourself, part-time travelers, and like, why do you, call yourself part-time travelers when we see the world where the specialists are, celebrated more, but you know, you don't do that. Why?
You want to take this?
Well, we
Yeah.
have jobs, so we're part-time travelers. Kind of like a lot of people, we just love travel so much, and we wanted to make it a real big priority. We do have non-remote work, so we're not out, being digital nomads in different countries every month. We have to come back to our home in Nashville, Tennessee, to do that work. So, yeah, so it's part-time, and we hope to inspire other people to let them know you don't have to quit everything and sell everything to travel the world if you want. You can definitely do it on your days off and on your PTO weeks, and use the holidays to your advantage. If you can get one more day off, that means I have 4 days and now I can go and explore this place, and just taking any chance that you possibly can to travel. And I hope that that's what we do.
Yeah.
Right. Can you tell us about your day jobs that you do?
Yeah. So I'm a musician.
Okay.
Before starting Adventures of Matt and Nat, I was doing full-time music. Now, as Adventures of Matt and Nat has grown more, it obviously takes more of my time. So I'm more in Adventures of Matt and Nat now than I was in music, but I still, on a weekly basis, am playing music for different artists, or I lead worship at a church here in our local community. So yeah,
Wow.
so
Okay.
music is kind of my background, and it's what I was in full time before starting this, and now I kind of split my time between the two. So
Hmm. And I actually work for an airline.
Okay.
yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you're already traveling, right? I mean, because you work for an airline.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it makes traveling much easier. And it gets us. It's opened our mind to a lot of knowledge that travelers that may not have that inside,
yeah.
seeing
Hmm.
seeing the travel industry or the airline industry from the inside, you gain a lot of knowledge. So we've learned a lot through her. What, 4 years of working?
4 years.
Almost
Yeah.
4 years. Yeah, 4 years. A little
Wow.
over 4 years working for an airline.
And
So yeah,
it's great because I started in the airlines because we wanted to travel more. And it's a great experience for
Right.
people who want to travel more, but maybe can't afford it. Working for an airline, you get travel benefits, which is a huge deal. That's why a lot of people, I recommend working for a hotel or for an airline, because you get those discounts. And that's what we started in
yeah, we
2019.
we didn't have our YouTube channel or blog or any of those
Mm-mm.
things when she started working for the airline. We just knew that we wanted to make travel a bigger part of our lives, and we're trying. She was in a transition season anyway of work and careers, so we were like, what's a world that will allow us to travel more? And
Mm-hmm.
the airlines came up. It kind of runs in her blood. She has lots of she has pilots and stewardesses and all that kind of in her family. So it was like, well,
Yeah.
Let's try it out.
let's try the airline workout and see what happens.
Right. So, Ned, you said that, because you have, this experience of working in the travel industry, you know about the best deals, how to get them. And I also see, on your website, you provide all kinds of, helpful information like the best credit card, the best, package. Can you talk about more like what else is there on your website, and how can people check it out?
Yeah, so our website's Adventures of Matt and Nat. Matt does a really great job with blogs. So itineraries, he goes really in depth and detail because he is that, very detail oriented person.
OCD.
Yeah, exactly. And loves details and facts. So our blog is full of that, which would be a very boring vlog if we put all of that information in it. But that's where all that information is. He gives suggestions for different restaurants, even though we didn't get to try them, or hotels, etc.
Yep.
But then we also just share some of our favorite travel companies that we love, things on how to travel on a budget. We have a blog about that.
Right. Yep.
So just how to travel better and how to do it most efficiently, because we try, we don't have a lot of time when we travel. So we want to see, do, and eat as much as we possibly can in that time. And that's kind of what we're known for, is packing it in as much as we possibly can.
Yeah. And for every video that you see on our YouTube channel, there's a blog that kind of coincides with it.
Mm-hmm.
That will either go in more depth or detail of what we did, like Natalie said. But so that's kind of what our website is. And it's been a fun project to be able to, like Natalie said, add more detail that we can't really put into a blog. So
yeah, hopefully it brings a little bit more value to people.
Right. And I mean, it's such a great lesson for those who want to start their career as a travel vlogger. I mean, you can start as a blogger.
Mm-hmm.
You can, like distill information. You can, start from your strength.
Yep.
Yes.
If you can write, if you can appear good on camera, I mean, it's a great thing. One more thing. I mean, do you believe like you're better able to help people, plan their travels because you're not full-time travelers? Because a lot of times, our most favorite, creators are full-time.
Mm-hmm.
Like Casey Neistat will go in a city and will crazy, his videos are there. People will, you can't become a Casey Neistat, right? Another Casey Neistat. But you, on the other hand, are inviting people to, follow your lifestyle more and more. So am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I think 100% that, because that's what we said when we started this, was kind of that thinking of like, most of the people consuming the content aren't the full-time travelers or nomadic or any of that. So it's kind of going back to what Natalie pointed out earlier, was being able to inspire people where they're at. Because the fact is, like, there are a lot of people that love their jobs, that love their corporate jobs, but it may have them tied to an office, 9 to 5, 5 days a week. They have their 2 to 6 weeks PTO, whatever that is. And they can feel like, oh, I can't go out. If I'm going to go on a trip, I need 2 weeks to do it, or I need a week to do it. And it's like, no, you don't. Like, you can fit in these, as we call it, some of the local adventures, like Natalie talked about, finding adventure days, like kind of like little micro adventures. But then you can also go on long weekends or just weekend trips. And so I think the fact that we are part-time, hopefully it does encourage and allow us to help people that are in those situations to travel more, travel better, and really experience things that they may have put off because they were waiting for retirement or waiting for a better time or easier time. So yeah, hopefully we are able to help. I think we are, and that's kind of our goal and has been since we started this.
Yeah. Any plans of going full time?
We would love to go full time. We don't know what that would look like, because that would be so wild. We were just talking about it today, even. We really don't know what our journey looks like, our life will look like in a couple of years, just because YouTube and this blog has really changed our life, even, to what it used to look like before we started this in 2021.
Yeah.
So, we don't know, but I think it would be amazing, because I think we could bring even more value when we're in a place, even just a little bit longer, because there are a lot of places we're there just one day. It's like, I would love to, experience a place and maybe even help the locals in some way. Or
that is the tough part. If you're watching this or listening to this and you haven't been to our YouTube channel, we do a lot of like one day in, fill in the destination, one day in Florence, Italy, one day in wherever we're at. And a lot of people will watch and be like, well, why'd they only do one day in? There's so much more to do. And it's like, well, we have jobs to get back to. And unfortunately, that is actually all that we had in the city. So, sometimes we may have an afternoon before we filmed, and then we're leaving out the morning after we filmed. So it's like we had like 36 hours in a city. And by no means do we think we ever experienced the city
No.
to the fullest or to the deepest level.
Right.
But kind of going back to, like you mentioned in the introduction of the podcast, was like, we feel like it's better to see something once, even if it's for a short moment, than to hear about it 1,000 times. Like, also going back to the people that are in full-time jobs that they really enjoy, that aren't remote and don't allow them to travel as much. It's like, don't put off all of these bucket list or dreams, because you don't have a week to spend in Paris or whatever it is. It's like, if you can get to Paris and you have, 2 days, a day, whatever it is, it's better to go there and experience it
than
to never experience it at all. So
Yeah, true. I mean, it reminds me of the film Around the World in 80 Days. Crazy travel. He is running from one country to another.
Yep.
That's, adrenaline rush. And also, I mean, Matt, you're right. Like, people, would save money for like 2 years to spend 2 weeks in Paris. And they'll be worried all the time. Like, okay, this is my first time. I was just talking about this before this podcast. Like, I'm like a, headless chicken who's very scared, whenever I go out, because I'm planning everything to the detail. And there is an extra burden of enjoying yourself. Like, okay, you are here after 3 years, you have to enjoy. You have to do this.
Yep.
So that's also there. So one of the things that we do on this channel is to talk about the monetization journeys of creators. We believe it's helpful to those creators who are just starting out to see the picture. So can you give us a breakdown of your revenue streams, starting from, let's say, YouTube, because that's the most visible channel?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that one that you guys highlight this the podcast, because we believe that the more transparent that content creators are about their income and their revenue, the better it is for the rest of the creators to, because it's a new industry. Let's be real. Like, there's not as many like set rates for things. So like, going into it, a lot of times you just feel like you're going in blind. Like, I don't know how much to charge for this or that. So having a community or having resources like this podcast to be able to go on and kind of figure those things out is very helpful.
Yeah, such a blessing.
But our revenue streams, and again, I'm glad to talk about actual numbers, like monetary value numbers, please, if you want. So our YouTube, our total revenue right now, obviously it's content creation, so it varies wildly. It's right now anywhere from about $5,000 to $7,000 a month is what our business brings in, and that's gross income. About 40 to 50% of that is going to be from YouTube ad revenue, AdSense.
Right.
Our Patreon page, which we started at the very beginning of this, makes up for about 8 to 10% of that. And then we have like brand deals, if you see, sponsored videos on YouTube, or brand deals, sponsored video, short form on Instagram, all of that comes out to about 25 to 35% of that revenue. And then our affiliate, anytime we're linking to affiliate products, that makes up for about 10 to 12% of
it. Right. So apart from the ad revenue, which was the first, which was the next revenue source that you got? Like, what was the first collaboration? What was the first brand deal that you made, and how did you get it?
So let's see. Our first brand deal, we had a couple of, do we have management at that time?
Yeah, probably. So we signed with a smaller management company. Was it been 2 years ago now? Something in that ballpark, 2.5 years ago. Signed with that company, and they brought in a couple of smaller brand deals for like sponsored videos. I think our first one might have been BetterHelp, maybe.
I think so.
I think BetterHelp, if you're familiar with it, it's a online therapy counseling kind of service, making putting a priority.
And how much was it?
That first one was
it?
I think it was $500. I think I could go back and look, but I think it was like $500 is what it was, for a 60 to 90 second ad integration into a YouTube video.
And I can't remember exactly how many subscribers we had at the time, or how many views we were getting.
I think we were around 20,000 subscribers at the time. If I remember correctly.
Now you're at 60.
Yeah, now we're at 60. So yeah, we were around 20 when we got our first like ad deal. We had plenty of gifted kind of things, but as in the travel world, we partnered with a lot of tourism boards through our 50 states in a year that we did, but none of those were like
Okay.
paid opportunities. They were,
hmm
they would cover. Some of them were covering some meals. Some of them were covering entire,
trips and
entire trip, but it
experiences
wasn't
and
any money actually going in our pockets from
hmm
that.
Right. So when you say travel boards, do you mean these government organizations in each state, or are these
hmm
independent?
so either the state or the
Yeah.
city, depending on how big the city is.
Okay.
Some of them have budgets for
Got it.
that. And again, we started this in 2021, so it was right out of COVID. I mean, not even out.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
still traveling, and we were trying to showcase a lot of domestic travel, obviously, because a lot of people couldn't travel internationally at the time. So,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Our first ever
partnership was
partnership was with Coastal Mississippi,
mhm.
which is a small tourism
Wow.
board down on the coast of the state of Mississippi. And, we had 200 subscribers, I think, on our channel.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
wow.
our
Okay.
second. Let's see, we had released 2 videos, maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 videos on our YouTube channel at that time. And this was going to be like the 6th video on our YouTube channel, like total.
Right.
And we were like, well, we're going to be down there. We may as well reach out to them. What's it hurt? Like, all they can say is
And
no,
I think it was like a week before
It
we
was the
were
week
going.
before we were going to be there. We were naive. We were like, I don't know how far these people plan out, So yeah, we reached out a
Right.
week before, and they got back to us immediately. And
So shout out to
they,
Anna for believing in us when we
yeah,
had nothing. So
yeah.
Wow.
And the Anna, who Natalie just mentioned, has become a dear friend of ours now. She was the one who was over that tourism board at the time, and
mhm.
was over partnership.
Right.
So yeah, we thought we were hot stuff. We were getting free food, got a free hotel out of it.
Which is
Really,
still amazing.
oh,
It definitely
absolutely.
helps with the expenses of the process. But if you're listening to this or watching this, definitely just shoot your shot. You never know. The worst thing that somebody can say is no.
Yeah,
And I mean,
Yep.
true.
that opportunity, we could have just said, well, it was a week before. We don't have that many videos out. We don't have any subscribers. Like, we have nothing to stand on.
hmm
They're probably going to say no, so we won't do it. It's like, just
Yeah.
try. You never really know. And just keep putting your best foot forward every single video or blog or
Yep,
content that you create.
true.
Yeah. And hopefully somebody will
Right.
believe in you.
So of course, how did you reach out to these boards? Because at 200 subscribers, a lot of people don't even take themselves seriously.
hmm
They think like it's like too early. But of course, the content quality is there, and like you said, like shoot your shot.
hmm
So how does one go about shooting their shot?
So yeah,
I think doing a really good crafted pitch
yeah.
on what value
Hmm.
you can provide brands or tourism boards or whoever you want to work with. Like you
Yeah.
did say, we did have good quality content at the time. Obviously, we look back now and we're like, thank God we've improved. But at the time, it was the best that we possibly could do. And I think, especially when you're smaller creators, I've lost my train of
Oh,
thought. I don't remember.
well, I think what she's about to say is,
Yeah, you can
so
read my
we
mind.
we craft a very strategic email just to, like Nelly said,
Right.
show what we can bring to the brand. It's because that's what it's about. Like, what can you do for them? And at the time, we didn't
Right.
have the following. We couldn't guarantee,
They would,
exposure
mhm.
to the destination. But what we did
Yep.
believe in was our ability to create video and photo. So at that time, rather than pitching ourselves as I hate the word influencer, but
Yeah.
a lot of brands look at it as that. So rather than pitching ourselves as influencers or having this like big following that we would give them exposure to our
Right.
audience, we pitched it as we were photographers and videographers
Mhm.
that were going to be in their destination, and we could partner with them and provide some value in that sense. So at the time, we didn't know any pricing. We were brand new at this. We were just shocked that anybody wanted to work with us. So I think we put together a little 1 minute
I
kind
think
of
we gave them
highlight
like a
video.
highlight Instagram video that we gave them so they could use it on their social media channels. Matt did
Right.
photography and edited them so they could use that again on their social media
Yeah, yeah,
platforms. And we kind
yeah.
of, yeah.
And as you grow, obviously now we would be like, well, there would be licensing and usage contracts with all the
Yeah.
photos, and we would never provide them for for as little as what we
A
would have
perpetuity.
back then.
hmm
But
Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
had to build to that point. So
Exactly. You got to start somewhere.
Right. So you said that that first, let's say, collaboration came when you were at 200 subscribers. Then you got your first, official, brand deal at 20,000 subscribers. Now you're at 60. So how have you evolved? Like, can you, in terms of pricing, how much do you charge now? How much should, a creator should, let's say, charge for this kind of growth?
Well, we have a management company now, and so they deal a lot with that
Okay.
because they have the in and outs of obviously what's going at market, and then they also have relationships. So we would prefer to do like long-term deals with companies. So we'll give them a better deal if you want to do 2 or 3 videos compared to just a one-off video. And we do think that the ROI is better because our community, and we also only work with companies that we truly enjoy. We don't just, if they've got a good paycheck, we say, yeah, we'll do it. That's not us either.
We've unfortunately, even this week, had to turn down like two brand deals that were paying really good, about $2,000 for a single, 60-second ad. But we were like, it was tempting. Obviously, it's, we're going into the holiday season, ending this year out. It'd be nice to end with that paycheck, but it just didn't make sense for the brand. And so we were just like, it just doesn't feel right. It would feel like a money grab and wouldn't feel genuine. And we don't want that. Yeah, we want our viewers to know that if we're promoting something on our channel, it is something we actually believe in. Even if we're new to the product, because sometimes you have a product reach out and it's maybe something you've heard of but you've never used, and you get a chance to use it, and it's like, no, we've had that. We've said, hey, can you send us a sample or whatever so we can see if we even really believe in this product before we sign a contract with you. So, but
it does help having a management company, and again, they do work with influencers, YouTubers, before you have 60,000 subscribers, because they were reaching out to us in our email. And we just didn't have time to go to brands and figure out signing contracts and that whole thing. So it was definitely nice for us to have that, because
having the management's been great. But to your point of like pricing, that pretty much 10,000 average. So taking the average views of your videos. So the way that is calculated is, it's not complicated, but it is a little bit complicated. You take your last 15 uploads, you subtract your highest 2 performing and your lowest 2 performing. So then you're left with 11 videos. And then you take the average views of those 11 videos, and that's what brands are going to take as your average views across your content. So the minimum number that brands are looking at there is 10,000. They're not likely to work with content creators, YouTube anyway. We're talking YouTube specifically. They're not really going to be likely to work with a content creator unless that number is 10,000 or more. And then beyond that, you're looking at, it's a wide range of what the CPM is, which costs per mil, which is from, if you're watching or listening to this and may not know what that means, it's how much a brand will pay per 1,000 views of a video.
1,000 views,
So to that point, the low end of that, we've been offered as low as $20 per, a $20 CPM, which is really low, and we've been offered as high as $70 CPM. We obviously try to land somewhere in that 40 to 50 range if possible. That's our goal. So with that said, we're sitting. But
it also depends on the brand. If we really love the brand and want to work with them in the future, it's like, okay, maybe we'll take a lower, CPM now, with the potential of possibly working with them in the future or something.
There's definitely those brands that just make sense if it's a very specific brand to something that just works for our brand. The brand alignment is just there.
Correct. So, what kind of brands do you not work with? I mean, you just told that you turned down 2 deals, right? So without naming them, without getting into too much specifics, what kind of deals did you say no to?
Well, we've got a couple.
Can you tell us more?
So we had like a van battery company reach out, but we have a home that we live in. We're not non-remote, so it that didn't really make sense, because for us that's not
we're not on the road.
So it didn't really just make sense, and I don't think a lot of our viewers are as well. So we were like, I don't think the ROI is going to be there for you, and I don't think it makes sense for us.
So we've had multiple of like the van life kind of companies reach out, whether it was a generator power charger or One was an satellite internet system, and it was, again, paid really good, but it just didn't make sense for the brand.
Mm-hmm.
We've had two different like app games, like a
Mm-hmm.
phone video
Yeah.
game kind of things, reach out in the past.
I think shopping, because shopping, I love shopping, but it's not really something that,
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's some things we feel like that may not align perfectly with travel, but it's something that either we connect with personally,
Mhm.
which is going to show through in sponsoring it or promoting it, or we feel like our viewers would connect with really well.
Mhm.
Like BetterHelp, for instance. I mean, that doesn't specifically tie to travel, but we believe in what BetterHelp is doing and promoting
And I
mental health.
definitely
And
tried it
yeah,
and
yeah, and
loved
we've
it. So that was another thing where it was like, okay, if I really am doing this in my free time, I don't mind telling other people about it.
yeah, but like app-based video games, like neither of us really play those. We don't have
Yeah.
time for it, to be honest.
Yeah, of course.
So it's like, yeah, that doesn't really fit, and I don't know if it'll
Yeah.
work out. So
Yeah, so that's some of the more examples that we've had in recent months. Yeah.
mhm.
Right, right. So, the holiday season is coming. What kind of brand deals and collaborations you're looking to unlock, maybe?
Okay.
Do you have a plan in place for every season?
So we're blessed right now that our YouTube sponsorship slots are full for the rest of the year. So we don't
Okay.
have any room to fill those.
And a lot of them have been the longstanding partnerships. So it hasn't been anything
Right.
where it's, specifically just for this or
Yeah.
something. So
So we're kind of fulfilling some multi ad deals where we had 2 or 3 ads that
Mhm.
we were doing for brands. Some of them are holiday specific, campaigns that they're
Right.
pushing. But I think with that's long form content, YouTube. We also are we're building our Instagram and short form platform.
I think we're a week away from posting
we're 1 week away.
90 days of short form content every single day.
Okay.
So
Wow.
It's been a challenge.
especially when you just love long form content. I do enjoy short form content, but it's a thing where we look at the clock and we go, oh, we haven't posted yet. We have to post.
Yeah, but to your question, I think since our long form YouTube kind of sponsorship slots are filled, we're looking forward to hopefully connecting with some brands that we know and love in the coming weeks, hopefully, and maybe partnering with some
Right.
Instagram or TikTok or YouTube Shorts, or all three for that matter, to help promote their holiday campaigns. Yeah.
Right. So, Matt, you said that all the slots are, filled. How many slots are there, and how do you decide, how much content you're going to generate to, keep those slots aligned with your brand?
So that's another thing that Matt talks about a lot is being consistent. So when you want to start a YouTube channel or a blog or an Instagram, finding out that schedule that you're going to be able to be consistent with. Now, we're not perfect, but we try to do at least one video a week. And so that's how we mean with the slots is there is a little bit of travel where we're going to have like 1.5 weeks and stuff, but for us, that's
So we try to be consistent, but with going into the holiday season, travels for family, travels with being part-time as we are and non-remote. When we're traveling, we are not getting to edit video at all. And Natalie does all of our video to editing. We don't have any editor doing it all. So when we're traveling, we're capturing new content, but that means we're also neglecting the post process of getting new content or content that's already been recorded, getting it released. So anytime we're traveling, it's like, okay,
we know no work is getting done.
Yeah, we know no work. So we usually have to have a week or so of not uploading to YouTube. So for the rest of the year, we've got, I think, another 4 or 5 videos coming out for the year, I think is what we're scheduled for. And out of those 5, I think 4 of them are sponsored videos, and the other one we were like, it's going to be too much, because when you get into the world of sponsored videos, that means brands have to approve them, which changes the timeline. And so we had one video we were like, there's just no way that we will be able to get it done to the brand, get response and make changes or whatever in time to get it uploaded when we need to get it uploaded. So we decided just to make that one just a non-sponsored video. It'll just be on our channel. And
it's definitely a catch-22 because everybody does want to get brand sponsorships, but it does add an element of stress, and you have to put forth that effort where, because you're getting paid to do that. So sometimes
Yeah.
it's like, oh, okay, I'm glad we don't have a sponsorship on this video. It's going to be a little bit more chill. But so it is a catch-22. So we have to find that balance.
It's tough because we're typically, even though our content, what you see on our YouTube channel is about 3 to 6 months behind real life as far as what's actually happened, we're still editing.
Right.
Usually we're editing up to upload time. Like when we get a video done, we do our final watch on it, say, all right, we both give it the thumbs up,
uploaded.
and then we hit upload and it goes live within a couple of hours. Like, so we're not like way, ahead on editing content. So when a brand is involved, it's like, okay, if we want to upload on Sunday, that means we have to send it to the brand by Wednesday, which pushes our timeline up multiple days compared to what we would normally do. So, it's a catch. Like Natalie said, it's a blessing, but knowing that if you're a content creator watching this or listening and trying to get to the point of sponsored videos, absolutely keep going for it. It's worth it.
Yeah.
But be prepared. There's,
it's a little bit of stress added on.
There's with any deadlines or anything, and growing business, it kind of, as it grows, the stress level gets a little more too.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really fascinating because it's a point to understand, like when you're doing branded stuff, branded content, you have to keep it balanced, right? Because you said that sometimes when you're not doing it, it feels better. So as a content creator, you should keep that balance, balanced. Matt, can you tell us more about that timeline? Like, let's say you shot one video for a brand on Sunday. So you have to give it to them by like what? And let's say the release date is the next Sunday. So I mean,
okay, yeah.
How how do you navigate that?
Yeah, so if say we're going
it depends on each brand. Each brand has their own parameters, but
each brand has their own parameters, but there's kind of started to become a more standardized parameters as far as that goes. But typically, we'll just go with kind of a standard contract. It can vary a little bit brand to brand. But if we're going, we typically like to upload on Sundays because that's when the majority of our viewers are watching on YouTube.
That's why I took Sunday, as an example.
Yeah, so if we're wanting to upload on Sunday, well, by contract, typically you have to give 2 business days for the brand to approve the ad, which means, we have to get it to them by Wednesday so that they have Thursday and Friday to approve.
And then sometimes Matt on Sunday will send us a script.
That's what I was going to work back. Yeah. So from there, just like Natalie was just saying, then working backwards from sending the video for them for approval, I also work backwards from there and go, so for a Sunday release, I need to send the script for the ad to the brand by the previous Sunday, end of day Sunday. So it's in their inbox on Monday morning. They can approve that script by Tuesday sometime. We'll film the ad on Tuesday night. Natalie will edit it real quick. And I'll be
editing that whole time on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for the actual vlog part.
Yeah, because most of the brands are going to want to see at least a pretty good idea of what the actual entire video is going to look like, not just their little branded section. So we'll film it on, approval for the script on Monday or Tuesday, film it on Tuesday or Wednesday morning, have Natalie send it off for approval on Wednesday, and hopefully get approval
with no changes,
or make changes if needed through Thursday and Friday, and then get the final version.
And then usually I'm still doing like graphics and color grading and just like making sure everything's like as perfect as I can.
With the draft that we send to brands, a lot of times we'll still have some of those like minor things to put in place. Like it doesn't change the content at all, other than just improving with putting captions or things like Natalie said. Yeah. And then then you hopefully have the thumbs up from the brand by the end of the day, Friday, so you can upload on Sunday.
Right. And, just to remind our audience again, you have a day job.
Yeah.
Other than this. It's amazing. Like if you're having any, second thoughts, just look at how much, work goes behind these, things. One smaller thing, not so smaller in the YouTube parlance. What about the thumbnail? Who creates the thumbnail, and how much time does it take you to create a thumbnail for a video?
Matt does our thumbnails. He's really great with photography, and he's gotten really good and I think honed in on our thumbnail process.
Yeah, so I do anything that's photography or copywriting and all of that. I do all of that for everything so I try to offload as much off of Natalie's plate because video editing does take a lot of time and effort. So so I do all of the thumbnails. Photography has always been a passion of mine. But then learning, I have my own artistic preferences that I love for photography and when I'm taking photos, but then there's also knowing like what works for thumbnails and what my artistic preferences, typically they may not align,
so being subjective there.
Yeah. So trying to be subjective and realizing I'm not making, something that's going to hang in an art gallery here. I'm making something that's going to get people to click on it, and that's developed a lot in the last year, just with the development of AI with, photography and stuff. I mean, we used to really stress. I mean, it was such a stressor thing, like, because again, we're in places a lot of times one day, which meant we were having to get our thumbnail that day.
Instagram pictures,
trying to get Instagram photos, Instagram short forms, taking the drone up, all the things that you pack into the day.
Not including the full day of filming.
Yeah, so the thumbnail was always a stressor because it was like, all right, where can we get where it's a beautiful site behind us or an iconic site behind us, frame us up, good lighting, good time of the day, all of that. Well, now with the advancements in AI, it's become so much easier. There's times where if we don't have time in the day, I'm like, okay, I'm looking around. I'm like, this would be a great frame for a thumbnail. We don't have time to set up the tripod and all of that, but I can take the photo and I can put us in it later, and I'm big on trying to at least make it look natural still. I don't want it to look extremely photoshopped and like we obviously weren't in the frame. Sometimes it's easier than others, but so yeah, I may just take a picture of the scene itself without us in it and then plug us in it later. We may set up, like this past trip, we set up the camera in our backyard and took photos in our backyard, and then we'll put ourselves from that in another photo later.
The lighting was just so harsh.
Yeah. So the thumbnail is that stressor has come, that advancements of AI have definitely relieved that stress of especially our one day in video for sure.
Right. I mean, a lot of people have, a lot of pictures of them like emoting, like, so that, they can continue to use them in the thumbnail.
Yep. Exactly. Just reuse them. You just cut yourself out, put it in a new thumbnail. Yep.
Amazing. Let's move to the travel merch, because you're also, pretty big on it. Your website is full of, exciting merch. So please talk about one thing that you can't do without in terms of merchandise.
Okay.
On your travels, of course.
This is hard for me. Anything that has to do with sleep. So for me, it's my travel pillow and my travel blanket and my eye mask. I literally can't travel without them because I can sleep anywhere comfortably.
Yep. And we specifically, we love our turtle travel pillows. I don't know if you've seen them. They're they kind of wrap around your neck and
they're interesting looking. Yeah.
They're interesting looking, but they work. So we always travel with those, especially long haul flights. And then there's a brand that we've kind of come to love over the years. It's called Gravel Travel, and they have a lot of great products, but their layover blanket is what it's called. It's a travel blanket. It's just great for the planes because sometimes the planes get so cold. We've had times where, we got seated in a window in an aisle and somebody ended up sitting between us, and we were just like, whatever. We're going to sleep on this flight anyway. So we'll let her sit between us. No big deal. But we did that and we both passed out with our pillows, our blankets, and the plane was ice cold. I mean, it was
we landed and we woke up and we're putting our stuff away.
Wow.
Where was that blanket from? You guys looked so warm. It was so cold. And I was like, I didn't know you were cold. I would have shared a little bit with you, but yeah.
So those are definitely ones for us. And then our, we have AirPod Pros that are great for the noise cancellation and listening to audio and stuff. So that whole combo is a
win.
Is a win for us.
Yeah, I mean, you also touched upon a really, important topic because you have a day job. You are creating this thing. This is essentially another day job that you have. So sleep is very important. You have to sleep whenever you get a chance, right?
Yeah.
You can't be very picky about the conditions.
No.
So
unfortunately,
these merchandise, of course, can help you a lot. So we'll definitely plug, the links of these things in the description.
For sure.
So next one, do you have any pet peeves when it comes to travel, or like, do you hate something about travel?
I do. I'm
Is
so
there any
glad
such
you
thing?
asked. Um,
With Natalie working for an airline, she probably has more than others.
that
But
is very true. Don't be nice to airline employees. That's my first one. But I think a lot of them boil down to people just being inconsiderate, thinking that they're the only ones on the plane or the only ones
Yeah,
on the escalator or the only ones on the elevator or wherever
yeah,
it is. When people are just very inconsiderate to others around them, that's when I get the biggest pet peeves.
yeah,
So,
some big ones that stand out for me as pet peeves would be, when the plane lands and you have your people that always stand up and like start making their way forward. It's like,
oh
it's
yeah,
the courtesy is to let the people in front get off first,
yeah, of course,
and I know there's exceptions to that. If you have a connecting plane that you're about to miss because of a delayed flight or
of
whatever,
course, you have to rush
absolutely,
through.
I'm like,
I had to do
get to the
that one
front.
time and I'm like, I apologize to every single person. I said,
Yeah,
I have a connecting flight. It's leaving in 20 minutes. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And everybody was really sweet. But just to do it, and then we see them at baggage claim waiting around with all of us. It's like, really? You were that rude?
Literally, have had it happen many
And
times,
I'm like, I
many.
hope your bag's the
But
last one out, sir. And you have to wait longer. But yeah.
yeah, so it's all like, it's like I said, it's all just people not being considerate of others. Whether it's
Hmm.
yeah,
listening to loud music or videos in an
On your
airport without
phone.
headphones. I'm
Yeah.
oh
like,
yeah,
just man,
Just little
come
things like
on,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
you can do
Yeah.
better. Yes, great. Uh, I know you must be getting this question a lot, but what are your top three, pieces of advice for somebody who's, maybe there but not starting yet, but let's say who can become travel creators like you?
So I would say one is, if you're getting started, thinking of, like, touching back what Natalie said earlier about consistency, and realizing that consistency is relative.
Hmm.
Consistency and consistently are not the same thing.
Wow.
So it's
Okay.
like realizing that our consistency, we decided, was once a week. We felt like that was the sweet spot for us. It pushed us, but it wasn't impossible. For someone else, that may be once every 2 weeks.
Hmm.
Yeah, yes, that channel might grow slower, but at least you're being consistent with your viewers and they know what to expect
But
from
then
you.
you also have Mark Rober, who puts out a video once a month.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So it really
Yeah.
just depends on the quality of content and what you're really trying to do.
Yeah, yeah, and then the next thing would be, consistency. The next thing that kind of weighs into what you decide your consistency looks like is realizing that, I feel like there was a time, especially in YouTube, when daily vlogging was a thing,
Mhm.
and that was when quantity was a little bit higher regard than quality. And I
Right.
think now we live in a world where you kind of have to have both. There
Mhm.
has to be a
Hmm.
balance of quantity and quality. So you have to be able to put out, a pretty high volume of content, but you can't do it at a low quality, which is intimidating, especially as a new creator. But it can be done, and it doesn't, with the advancements of cameras and phones and everything, it doesn't mean you have to have,
The
a,
best of
a
everything.
$5,000
Hmm.
camera rig to put
Yeah.
out great quality content. And to my little soapbox on that, I come from audio world, being a musician. Audio is more important. Audio quality is more important than video quality. So if you're a new creator, make sure your audio is good. You don't have to be shooting in 4K or 8K. If your audio is
Hmm.
really good, people will stick around. Whereas if the reverse of that is the case, you're shooting in
Yeah.
4K and your audio is bad, they're going to click away within the first 10-15 seconds.
Yeah, that's good advice.
So what's
Right.
another one you would have?
I think for us, a big thing was perfectionism.
Mm,
Is we would wait around for the project or the video or the time for everything to be perfect. And isn't it Mark Cuban has the quote?
hmm
And it's perfectionism is the enemy of profit. And it's like, okay, you just have to
Wow.
try and get better every single video that you put out, every single blog that you put out. And if you could just be 1% better on those things.
Yep.
And just realizing too, like we look at each other when we're really stressed out and we're trying to get the best video or story. We look at each other and we're like, it is a travel vlog. This is not a Martin Scorsese film. Like, you know what I mean? Just trying to take that pressure off a little bit too, just being like, okay, everything will be fine.
Yep.
We'll do our best and we'll hope for the best, you
Yeah,
know?
taking the pressure off by getting perspective and realizing, like, look, we're creating a travel vlog. Like Natalie said, this is not a massive Hollywood production. We're just trying to capture our experience and our moment to the
and try
best that
and
we can.
give people value. That's really what are
Yeah.
two things that we want. And I think another piece of advice, and I think you'd say the same, is keeping your expectations realistic.
Yeah.
That's very hard for me because I'm the dreamer, and I was like, we're gonna have 150,000 subscribers in the first 2 months, and Matt's like, that's not how it works.
It's like, let's do our research, and research shows that most channels take about 36 uploads before they hit the 1,000 subscriber mark. So let's set that, rather than thinking we're the exception to the rule. Let's just assume we're right there in the middle of the rule. And then if you beat that rule, then awesome. That you just kind of exceeded your expectations, rather than letting yourself down, which if you continually are getting let down, you're not going to stick with it.
And I think another thing, which is like 4 pieces of advice, but continuously learning, because we're continuously learning. YouTube and social media just in general is constantly changing, and you have to be up on, trends and I don't know. I just think learning all the time and trying to figure out what those realistic expectations are, listening to podcasts, being surrounded in that community where you can have conversations, and just always learning.
Yep.
It's exhausting, but it's the most fun as well, because you're just always learning.
I know you asked for 3. I don't know how many we gave you, but
I think that was 4, I think.
Thank you so much. You can go on, about this. Matt. Sorry, I was coming to Mark Cuban.
You're good. You're good.
I said Mark. So, love Mark Cuban, and there's this. There are so many interesting people in so many different areas. So, who would be a celebrity you'd want to see a travel vlog from? Who's not doing it, of course, but who can be a good one, good fit?
What do you think?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. Mark Cuban might be a good one.
Mark Cuban is one.
Yeah,
of course.
I was about to say he'd be a good one, because it'd be cool to see him investing his capital into other businesses as well. Like, I think that would be kind of interesting. He would travel and see a business, and I don't know. I think that would be interesting.
I'm trying to think of some other ones, because I've loved seeing some of the celebrities branch into travel category, like Zac Efron. A couple years ago he did his, which was that was a really cool way to see somebody that you're used to seeing in films and stuff experiencing life in that way. Gosh, that's a tough one. Who?
I think Jennifer Lawrence would be really funny.
Oh yeah, she would definitely be. Yeah, because she's very real. She's very real,
and she would say exactly what was on her mind, and I think that's really refreshing.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, people with very wild lifestyles. Let's say Leonardo DiCaprio, who's always in the parties doing stuff. Yeah. Maybe a vlog by him.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
That'd be cool.
Right. Matt, can you also talk about the equipment? You just said that audio should be of top-notch quality every time. But what equipment you're using?
Yeah, and that's back to the point that you don't have to spend a fortune to get great quality these days. The mic that we use on all of our vlogs is the $50 or $60 Rode Micro. We have the more expensive $250 Video Mic Pro, but it requires a battery. It's bigger, more cumbersome, so it's not as great for travel, in our opinion. Especially if you're on the go and you forget to pack an extra battery, or you forget to turn the mic on, or whatever the instance may be. There was just too many things that could potentially go wrong with it in the field, and we're run and gun. Right. So it was like, we need as little to think about as possible when it comes to when we flip the camera on and hit record.
Like, we're good.
Everything's good to go. So yeah, for audio, that's what we use for everything.
We even tried a new microphone that was like $250, and we thought the sound was even.
Yeah, we spent some time A/B-ing them and recorded, put headphones in, listened to both, tried different scenarios, and we didn't like the way it sounded, and it didn't isolate the voices as well as the Video Micro did. So yeah, we went back, we returned that mic and went back with our $50 Rode Video Micro.
Great. So keep it, within your range, whatever equipment you can get, good quality, of course. And just get started.
Yep.
That's the message from Matt and Nat.
1,000%. Our camera that we had up until recently, this past May, which we're now editing those videos on my new camera. But we had an $800 point and shoot camera from Sony that we filmed our whole 50 States in a Year series.
Yep.
And it pretty much got us to
Wow.
50,000
subscribers
with this $800 camera and a $50 mic.
Yep.
So,
and I know $800
Right.
isn't cheap, but
it was so expensive when we first started.
But it's
but in comparison to
affordable.
like
Mhm.
the new camera, where that camera was a Sony RX 100 Mark 7.
Mhm.
For any of the gear people watching, I love gear and could talk about all the things.
Yeah.
But so that was what that camera was, and that's what we got to 50,000 subscribers on. That and a couple of GoPros when we were doing
Mhm.
water or action type stuff. So $800 I know is not a little bit of money, but in comparison to the $3,500 or $3,000 that we have now in the new Sony ZV-E1 that we just use, that we're
Mhm.
using now, and the lens and all of that stuff, like $800 isn't a bad barrier to entry. And realistically, now you can absolutely use your phone, but plug an external mic into it, get the audio from the mic, use that as your audio of the video micro or whatever it is,
Mhm.
and use your phone for video, because there's plenty of content creators that have started that way that are even much bigger than we are.
Right. Yeah. My next question: what's next for Matt and Nat? Of course, you'll be coming again on the show within the next year.
That would be
Absolutely.
so
I mean, that's the
cool.
plans, right?
Yeah, I'm booking a slot right now.
Okay, yeah. Hopefully we'll have grown by then too. That'd be the
hopefully
coolest
so.
part.
Yeah, 6 million. 6 million would be a
You
nice
know
number.
what?
I'm cool with that.
Sounds
Yeah.
good to me. Keeping our expectations
Yeah,
realistic.
speaking of keeping expectations realistic,
Yeah.
But no, kind of like you talked about in the introduction, we launched our 1,000 Places to See Before You Die series back at the beginning of this year.
Mhm.
So we'll be continuing that journey, because we haven't even put a dent in hardly the 1,000 places. But specifically, we're going to continue obviously growing the channel the best that we can. But for travels, our upcoming travels, we have Austin, Texas on the calendar for within the next month.
Mhm.
And then
a Christmas market.
Christmas markets in Cologne, Germany, the beginning of December, and that kind of rounds out. But it's only 2 trips we've got for the rest of the year. We'll be
Nice.
We'll be trying to pound out some content and get videos edited in the meantime.
Yeah. And I think for 2024, I think a big thing for us is our blog. Because a lot of people on YouTube don't even realize that we have this resource available, but people are starting to understand it now and coming to it. So I think that's a big one, because it's just a whole other, even if you don't like YouTube videos, you could totally just read the blog and it gives you all this information.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to be doing our first ever group trip next year. And I think that's going to be a new thing, because we love community, we love people, and obviously we love traveling. So I think it'll be a really fun thing to do with our community, is just going to travel together, and it might just be the beginning of a really cool adventure and journey where we'll do more group trips.
Yeah, it may become an annual or biannual thing.
Yeah.
We'll see, depending on what our calendars allow, but we'll see.
That's great. One last ritual we make our guests go through. Would you like to nominate anyone for our show so that we can continue to do it?
Let's see.
I've got a couple of people.
Okay, who do you have?
I mean, Chris and Sarah, I think would be great.
Yeah, I think Chris and Sarah would be great. I don't know if you're familiar with their channel. They're in the travel community.
And they're about to head down to South America.
Yeah, they are.
So it's a perfect.
They're shipping their Toyota overlanding vehicle to South America, which is awesome.
Wow.
I think Chris and Ellen would be a good one, which I know there's 2 Chris's, but
Chris and Sarah, some other friends of ours, another Chris, and it's Chris and Ellen. This one, they travel a lot. They travel about 6 months out of the year, and they utilize house sitting to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they'll house sit. Like this past year, they house sat in a beautiful, what would you call it? When they're in France.
Oh, like a chateau.
Oh yeah, beautiful chateau
I was going to say castle.
The countryside of France, and they were there for like 6 weeks, house sitting for a couple and watching their dogs. So that's a cool one. Outside of the travel world, would you say Daniela would be a good one?
That would be a great one.
We have a friend who she's grown massively, especially in the UGC content world. And so she's
before it was called UGC, she called it Stay at Home Model.
Yeah.
And that's what she was doing before it became UGC. So she was like an OG in that world.
Yeah, and she's absolutely killing it in that world. So that'd be a good one too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've got a list full of awesome creators now, thanks to you. I mean, this conversation can go on and on forever.
It really could,
because, I mean, all of us are awesome people, right? All three of us.
Especially you. Especially you.
Oh, I mean, I'm really grateful that you came here. But yeah, I'd rather have people watch your content on Adventures of Matt and Nat. And of course, please check us out as well on Instagram, Twitter, as well as YouTube. Matt and Nat, thank you so much for coming to the show. I think we have a lot of, stuff which people can, take away from many things. And I hope they get inspired by you. They get involved in your movement and get inspired to travel to travel beyond their comfort zone. Especially me. I should do that.
Thank you so much for having us on today. It's been really great getting to chat with you.
It really has. I hope people have learned, and you can find us on Instagram if you have any other questions. We are an open book, so
Yeah, definitely. And of course, we'll put all the links in the description of this video. Please check out Matt and Nat, their website. There is awesome, resources available for you. Check out the, books on travel. Check out the credit cards, the packages, everything. And simply follow them. They're good people. Thank you.
You're so sweet. Thanks.
And cut. That's it for today's episode, guys. If you really liked it, please subscribe to the 1000 Faces Club and press the bell icon below so that you don't miss any videos from us. Thank you.